Hey guys, welcome back to Real Housewives Recaps. Today, we're talking Uncoupled. You guys recommended this show to me. I'm enjoying it so very much. This is episode 2. If you haven't watched it, pause this. Go watch the actual series. It's on Netflix. Again, I'm just watching one episode at a time and recapping it, but so far I'm really enjoying it and I can't wait to talk about it with you. So let's jump right into episode 2 of Uncoupled. Before I forget, check out my Patreon, patreon.com/backslash Real Housewives Recaps, where I'm going through all the original Sex and the City episodes. Take a look. Let's jump into this episode. So we pick right up right where we left off in episode 1. Remember that Suzanne drops the bomb that she knows where Colin is and who he's with, ooh la la, and to meet him for a drink. So we pick up with Michael and Suzanne talking and having drinks. So it turns out she saw Colin. She was passing by these new condos and she makes a joke about being an exhibitionist to live there because it's all glass front. So she could clearly see Colin and Tyler together. So quick reminder, Tyler is Michael's arch nemesis in real estate. He is the guy that he saw in the elevator. They're fighting over different listings. Yeah, so she saw them hugging, and Michael is in complete shock, talking about how could it be? Colin left me for Tyler. She says, I'm always seeing shit I shouldn't be seeing. I love Suzanne so much on the show. She says she's always seeing shit she shouldn't be seeing. And how does Colin even know Tyler? Well, it turns out Michael introduced them at the company Christmas party. You guys, I was dying. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't even believe it. I don't know why it didn't even occur to me that that might be what was happening here. And we'll talk about what goes down later in the episode, but for now, I can just tell you I was honestly shocked. Funny scene of Michael trying to break Colin's toothbrush, of him typing out all these text messages to Colin, calling him a bastard, basically, and letting him know that he knows about his new boyfriend and that he's, like, sometimes he'll say he's hurt and then he'll delete it and say you're an ass, whatever it is. It's funny to see him. It's like a way for him to voice over without voiceovering. We can actually see his thoughts in this way. So speaking of voiceover, I didn't go into it in the first episode, so I feel like this is the time to do it. Let's take a quick pause and talk about how this relates to And Just Like That. Everybody's favorite show to hate, right? Oh, it really was the worst. Oh, can't wait to hate on it for season 2. Okay, so of course Darren Star is on this project. Darren Star, as we know, he didn't have anything to do with it Just Like That, but he was on the original series. Okay, so can I just say, and some of you guys said it in the comments too, this is what And Just Like That should have been. This is people, people in their 50s or approaching 50s, right? The girls, I think Carrie was 55-ish. I can't remember. So people around their 50s living in New York City in these beautiful apartments, right? And so you get the real estate porn, the wealth, all that. You get, I don't know, good looks, like they're all so good looking. You have diversity, you have, I don't know, just all these elements that make a show great without the factors of And Just Like That are like, hey, look at us, we're shoving this at you. Look how good we are. You know what I mean? Oh, God, all the reasons I hated And Just Like That. I'm really enjoying this show. They do a good job of tackling these issues where And Just Like That totally missed it. And they even take something, Carrie's was grief. He's going through his own type of grief because he's lost this relationship of 17 years. And it's just handled in such a better, more interesting, even, funny way. And I'm enjoying the crap out of this show, and that's everything I was hoping for And Just Like That we didn't get. Even the texts. He would start and stop all these texts and delete them. That's a very relatable thing that we've all done, right? When you're trying to, whether it's a text or email, whatever, you're trying to write something out and you're like, it doesn't sound right. You start deleting, you're overthinking it, especially in relationship context, but it's also a way to show us what's on his mind, what he's thinking, his interior monologue that we lost on And Just Like That because we didn't have Carrie's voiceover. So again, I say well done to this show. I'm only 2 episodes in. Again, it might fall flat on its face, but so far I'm enjoying the heck out of it. So let's jump back into what's going on in this episode. So we see Michael walking with a black box. He looks into the apartment, sees Colin and Tyler hooking up, and his face in this scene was amazing. He's just like staring in shock. Well, turns out it was a dream. So it was interesting to see his thought process there, but no, it's a dream. He didn't actually see Colin and Tyler hooking up. But he does realize he's late for an appointment, and he has to take off basically for this appointment. A neighbor stops him and tries to talk to him about Colin's mail. Of course, Michael is still so upset. He just doesn't want to talk about Colin. Michael starts to text again about having his mail and him being a cheater, but then deletes it, again allowing us to know exactly what's on his mind. Michael meets up with another realtor. It's so funny. So again, last episode I referenced $1 Million Listing. I don't know if anybody watches that, the New York one. There's Frederick. I believe is he from Switzerland? I can't remember. Somewhere, is he from Switzerland? Anyway, this guy is like German, this realtor, and he's almost talking like Anna Delvey, and it's really funny. He keeps talking about his hot husband, Colin. How's your hot husband? Just asking. You got very lucky. Anyway, but so while Michael's showing this place to this young couple, it's their first place they're buying together, he's having flashbacks of what it was like to buy his first place with Colin. Again, this realtor keeps saying, I bet your husband has hot friends to fix me up with. Your hot rich husband. And I wrote down Anna Delvey accent. Michael just can't handle it. He gives a couple some space. He lays down on the kid's bed in another room. This is, again, an apartment that they're showing. He's looking at pictures of him and Suzanne. And in the background, he realizes, oh my God, it's a picture of Colin and Tyler, like, talking. And he says, motherfucker. Okay. So let's go. He goes out to dinner and he's talking to his friends, and they talk about, he finally opens up that Colin left him. Suzanne saw Colin with Tyler, and he's kicking himself because he actually introduced Colin and Tyler at the company Christmas party. So they tell him, listen, it's fine. It'll fizz out. This is something that happens. It might not actually be over. They're friends, the Jonathans. Remember, we met them last episode, Jonathan and Jonathan. And one of the Jonathans had a fling. They got it out of their system. They got back together. Now they have a kid. And then they say, don't have a baby with Colin because we're too old to find new friend. So again, I love this show. I love that and it comes up later. He talks about being a man of a certain age. I won't say old, an older man. Who's gay and how hard it is for him, and then Marcia Gay Harden talking about how old it is for her as a woman who's, of a certain age and trying to find somebody and start over again, and how hard that is. So it's tackling the issues, I guess, that In Just Like That was trying for, but totally fell on its face. But it's doing it really well here, and I don't know, I love these characters. They're kind of endearing, even though they're also nuts too, So then we see Michael in the elevator with his neighbor, Jack. Jack says, I'm so sorry about you and Colin. Michael is surprised that he knows and says, what do you mean? He says, well, didn't you split? He says that he saw the hot guy helping him. So again, further knife in the gut if you hear that your partner of 17 years has moved out and a hot guy helped him move. He says, I don't care what people say. I thought you were the good-looking one. He says that to Michael. So there's all these funny jabs at Michael along the way. And Michael asks, did he say anything to you? And then Jack, the neighbor, says, yeah, goodbye. Don't you just hate men? That's what Jack says. I thought it was fantastic. Great interaction. So we go over to Suzanne. I love Suzanne's dress. This red dress with that shoulder detail, so pretty. Again, even they got the fashion right in this one, that they totally screwed up and Just Like That. So Suzanne and Michael are at this party. It's another at this gallery, this art party that it seems to be that his friend runs the gallery is what I'm seeing. So Claire is there. Claire Lewis, remember, played by Marcia Gay Harden, who has the fabulous apartment, the listing he's trying to get that Tyler's also trying for. He also finds out, by the way, that Tyler is supposed to be sitting next to him at this benefit. He's just pissed at the world, right? He goes to try to talk to Claire. Claire's bidding on something. Again, she's telling stories of how her and her husband broke up, or how he left her. Apparently, she said to him, "Hey, you shaved your balls. Is that to match your bald head?" She said that to her husband, and he confessed, nope, he did it for Layla. Who's Layla? His 25-year-old Pilates instructor. So Michael's busy kissing her ass and saying, "Oh, no, you're every bit as beautiful," and just saying these things and not being his authentic self, which I love later on. He does open up and he does become himself, and that makes her like him more. There's these funny digs that he does. I like Michael so much. He knows that Claire is bidding on this trip, and she says, "Don't outbid me." So he writes down Tyler's name and outbids her just to piss her off against Tyler, right? So Tyler walks by, and Michael goes to talk to him, thinking that he's confronting Colin's new lover, right? And he says, how could you? And you guys are together now and all this stuff. Well, it turns out they're not. All that happened was Colin left Michael and used Tyler as his realtor, which is bad enough because that's Michael's arch nemesis. But he used him as a realtor, and apparently Tyler helped him move some boxes. He says, "I'm not having an affair with him. He's too old." Yikes. But he kind of threw Michael a bone here and says, "Listen, I didn't see any evidence of another guy. I don't think it's that." But then he says, "Stop bugging Claire. She's my mother's friend. I'm getting that listing, not you." Okay, so back with Suzanne, he talks about it and says, "Oh my God, Colin didn't leave me for Tyler or anyone. He just left me, and now it feels worse." Colin says that, they need to focus on the Claire listing, and they need to get that. And I think last time I thought she was his assistant, but it seems that they are business partners. They seem to be in real estate together because she offered to cover his listing, and she's talking about putting together this presentation to win over Claire. Well, right as they're talking about it, Claire sends a text and says she's canceling the meeting. She's going with Tyler. That's that. Well, Michael jumps in a cab, follows Claire over to her house, and we get to see a little bit more of the real Michael. He opens up. He actually relates to Claire and says, "Listen, I know what you're going through because I was just left by somebody too. I thought I would spend forever with him. We were together for 17 years. I get it." And so they relate to each other and their fears of being alone and starting over at a certain age, and how she feels as a woman starting over at a certain age, and how he feels as a gay man starting over at a certain age. And he calls himself a dinosaur, and she says, "Well, listen, Tyler was taking 6%. Can you shave a point off that?" He agrees, and she says his mother is going to be pissed, but she gives him the listing. So yay, it's a win for Michael, and I'm happy. I'm glad that worked out like that. He goes home, he sees his mailbox, and Colin's last name is there, of course, alongside his. He scratches it off of the mailbox. It reminded me of Charlotte in Sex and the City. Remember when she she had McDougal on her front door, and she replaced it. She changed it back to York after they got divorced. But he nods. He doesn't quite give a smile, but he kind of nods like, okay, that's a step. And that's how the episode ends. And I loved it. I thought it was so good. I'm really enjoying it. I'm dying to see where this goes. Let me know your thoughts. Are you enjoying the show? Are you into it like I am? Are you watching it? Does the cheese stand alone here? Let me know. Guys, thanks so much for watching. I'm totally down to keep recapping this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you want to keep going. And I appreciate every single one of you. I really do. Do check out my Patreon if that appeals to you. Hit that thanks button if you're able to. That helps the channel. And otherwise, just keep hitting that thumbs up. It really does help, every single one. Thank you guys for everything. Have a wonderful day, and I can't wait to keep talking about this show. I'll talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.